In this video, I'm going to show you 5 different grassy weeds that you may be finding in your yard. I'm going to tell you the exact products you need to use to best control these weeds. And not only that, I'm going to help you identify the weeds because we're going to show them to you in this video. Let's get started right now. So you want a beautiful yard, but you've got some grassy weeds in there. Maybe if you're new to this, you may have found out, like I did, that the grassy weeds are often more difficult to control than the broadleaf weeds. And you may need actually special herbicide to control those. So let's introduce you to these 5 grassy weeds. Up first, we're gonna go with one that is a difficult one to control, but we're gonna show you the best products for it, and it's called Dallas grass. Now this is Dallas grass. Dallas grass is a perennial, meaning that when you spray a pre-emergent, this not only means by perennial, but just so you know, as far as control goes, if you have a whole yard full of Dallas grass and early in the year you want to spray a pre-emergent, you're not gonna knock out the Dallas grass. You know, an annual weed is gonna drop seeds, and then those seeds are gonna try to germinate the next year, and hopefully that pre-emergent is gonna knock out the weed early in that germination process. But the perennial weeds, it doesn't work like that. So you gotta use the post-emergent product. Now Dallas grass happens to be a really tough one to control, but this is what it looks like. Maybe you'll see one later in the video that has a seed head where I can show you the seed head. But comparing it with crabgrass, it has a rather dull looking finish. I like to talk about it in terms of paint, like paint has a sheen. This one has a very dull looking finish to it, real wide leaf, and it puts up a pretty tall seed head. That we may be able to show you later on. So now Dallas grass is a real pain. On a Bermuda lawn, the best product that I know of, but unfortunately is no longer legal on residential properties, is called MSMA. But without MSMA, what can you do about Dallas grass? Well, on a Bermuda grass lawn, one thing you can do is you can spray it with glyphosate in the wintertime. Now that's gonna be best done when your Bermuda grass is dormant, but you've had some warm weather so that the Dallas grass is not dormant. It's got some life to it because the glyphosate not gonna work so well when the Bermuda grass is dormant. But without glyphosate, what can you do in a Bermuda or zoysia lawn? Well, the best product I know of is called Tribute Total. It's a little bit on the expensive side, but if you mix the high rate of Tribute Total, and I like to add the high rate of Dismiss in there, which is the active ingredient sulfentrazone, that combination with one shot will do a lot of damage to Dallas grass, and with 2 shots you may knock it out. Now I would just do that anytime you see Dallas grass, but if you want to know the best time, probably start in October, spray it, and then spray it again in November. Again, if it's a Bermuda grass lawn, you want to hit it again when it's dormant with some glyphosate, you can, and if it shows back up the next spring, spray it again if you have to. But those are the best products that I know of for Dallas grass. There's some other products that could give you some results. Celsius, Certainty, Dismiss NXT, those are all products that can have some results on Dallas grass, but Tribute Total, in my opinion, is the best. Tribute Total is just for warm season grasses, specifically Bermuda and zoysia lawns. Now, before we get to the next weed, which is gonna be a very common one that many of you are familiar with, I wanna say today's video is sponsored by Graham Spray Equipment. I run a weed control and fertilization business, and you can see my 400-gallon Graham spray rig on the back of my truck that's been very reliable for me over the years. If you need a spray rig for your business, go to grahamse.com or give those guys a call. So here's the 2 products I mentioned for Dallas grass. This is Tribute Total, and this is Dismiss. So the high rate of both of these is the most effective combination that I know of. Here's a great example of our next weed, and this is crabgrass. And I love this because we get to see the seed head on here, which makes it much easier to identify when you can compare the seed heads for these different plants. So crabgrass, it's one that we want to typically get ahead of with our pre-emergent. So one of the most effective pre-emergents for crabgrass is called prodiamine. So I live in Alabama, so I'm typically going to apply that in January or February before the crabgrass germinates. Now if you live further north, you could wait a little bit longer, but the key is getting that pre-emergent down, whether you're using prodiamine or another one, and getting it watered in before the crabgrass germinates, which typically coincides when the soil temperatures reach and stay at 55 degrees for a few days. So if you can get that down, then that's going to help a lot with your crabgrass problem. Now some people live so far south that the crabgrass doesn't die off in the wintertime, and so they have to go at it with a post-emergent product. If you have existing crabgrass, or you live where the crabgrass never dies really because it's so warm, I'm sure it will die eventually, but there's going to be new plants germinating. Then with the post-emergent, the products that we like to use have the active ingredient quinclorac. So these are going to be products like Drive, Accelerate spelled XLR, the number 8. Or you may see one called Solitaire, which is quinclorac and sulfentrazone. That's the same active ingredient we saw on Dismiss a while ago. You may see another one called Q-Ball. These all have quinclorac in there. So that quinclorac is our go-to post-emergent for crabgrass. But again, it's going to be cheaper and more effective if you can control it with a pre-emergent with something like prodiamine before it germinates. Now this is a third one we want to talk about. This one's called goosegrass. Now look at the seed head on goosegrass. You see here. And one of the things that's unique about goosegrass, whatever reason, it really likes compact soil. Oftentimes on a golf course it's maybe not the most well maintained, you might see goosegrass growing on the putting green. And you know, some weeds you can just mow the grass low and it'll kind of take care of. Goosegrass, it seems like you can't cut the grass low enough, even on a putting green, to get rid of it. So goosegrass is an annual weed that sometimes can be controlled with that pre-emergent, but if you get it in this situation, compacted soil, whatever reason, got goosegrass here, then the go-to product that I know of is called Dismiss NXT. A while ago we mentioned regular Dismiss, which is sulfentrazone. Dismiss NXT, I believe, has sulfentrazone as well as carfentrazone. That combination, for whatever reason, works better on goosegrass. It's one of the best products that I know of to control the goosegrass. Now, like a lot of weeds, it's going to be easier to control when that plant's a little bit young or when the plant's at a very mature state. But at that point, you know, maybe the winter's going to knock it out. So it's going to be more difficult to control when you got just a really strong, healthy plant in the middle of the summertime. But you should get some pretty serious results with one application of Dismiss NXT, and with 2 applications, I think you're going to get some really impressive results. Now this is a good example. You see this Bermuda lawn here, but you got this bare spot for whatever reason. Look where the goosegrass is growing, in that bare spot. So let that be a reminder to you that some nice healthy turf is one of the best things you can do to help keep the weeds out of your lawn. Dismiss NXT, you see here we've got carfentrazone and sulfentrazone. If it's too small for you, trust me, that's the 2 active ingredients in Dismiss NXT. Now as I'm walking over here, I think I know where a gigantic Dallas grass plant is. It's probably got some seed heads on it. I want to talk to you about the one-year mentoring program I'm offering. The link is the first link in the description below. And if you want to get into weed control and fertilization like me, I've in the past sold courses. Now I'm offering a 1-year mentorship program. We started this up about a month ago. It's going great. So if you're interested in getting into weed control and fertilization with warm season grasses and you don't know where to start, or you need some help getting going, or you like the idea of having a mentor guide you for the first full year of your business, then click on the link below and schedule a free 15-minute call so we can discuss and see if it's a fit for you. I found the absolute gigantic Dallas grass. Unfortunately, the grass has been mowed here, so I'm not sure we're going to get a whole lot of a seed head here. And there's one that's trying to form, but it's kind of pathetic looking. So maybe we'll see if we can find something later on. This next weed, some people make a yard out of it. I don't understand it at all. In my mind, it's a total weed that's terrible and hard to mow. Let's get to it. Here's the weed. This one's called Bahia grass. Now look at the stalk this thing puts up, and I mean, it's strong, it's hard to mow. And another thing, sometimes before it puts up a stalk, the way I like to try to identify it, I kind of notice it, but it does have like a pinkish purple color down here by the base of the plant. Once it puts up the seed head, it's hard to mistake that classic Y-shaped seed head here on Bahia grass. Now again, sometimes in Florida people have a Bahia lawn. I don't understand that. I would just go with anything but Bahia grass because I think it's a terrible grass and it puts up a seed head after like 2 days of mowing. It's hard to mow. But I guess somehow you can make it look halfway decent if you mow it enough. Secret product here, not so secret, but it's called Manor. You may see it also under MSM Turf, and it's metsulfuron. It's really inexpensive product, and I can put some links in the description of these products. But Manor at a super low rate, even a 1/4 ounce per acre, will greatly suppress this weed, and you could go up to 1/3 of an ounce or even a 1/2 ounce per acre and maybe knock Bahia grass out of your lawn. Now, Manor is very difficult to measure out in like a 2-gallon sprayer, because remember the rate I just suggested was anywhere from a 1/4 of an ounce to a 1/2 ounce per acre. Well, it's hard to measure that out in a tiny little thing. So more so, it's for like mixing up in a spray tank like this or a ride-on machine like that. Matter of fact, I'm just gonna recommend that you don't try to mix this up in this. Now, if you still want to use Manor, but you don't have a big tank or something, there are other products that have metsulfuron in them, like Blindside, for instance, that has metsulfuron in it mixed with some other ingredients that you could use in a smaller handheld tank like that. The next one I want to show you, it almost looks kind of like St. Augustine grass or maybe centipede grass, maybe not quite as wide as St. Augustine, but a little wider than centipede, but not as uniform as either one. And it's kind of a dead giveaway once it puts up the seed head, because you see this seed head, there's the Y, kind of like Bahia grass, but then it has one more little kicker that comes off below the Y, just to one side. And look at it, it's like that every time, a Y with a kicker below it. A Y with a kicker below it. Now what is this? This is called carpet grass. Now you could actually make a lawn out of this. I don't think it looks that good. But why is it important to be able to identify carpet grass? Well, let's think about it. If you had a centipede lawn that was like half centipede and half carpet grass, and you spray the product I'm gonna tell you to spray to control it, not knowing, just thinking it was all centipede, you may kill half your yard because you didn't recognize that this was actually carpet grass. But let's say you actually want to control the carpet grass, what product do you use? Well, in this situation, we're going to use this product. It's called Celsius. Now, Celsius, you can use it on a centipede or St. Augustine lawn, that's fine. On a carpet grass lawn, it's going to seriously damage it. And I say carpet grass lawn, it's not a great grass to make a lawn out of. So that's what I'm saying, is make sure that if you're spraying on centipede, make sure it is centipede and not just carpet grass. Same thing with St. Augustine. So Celsius is our go-to product for knocking out carpet grass. I mean, this is crazy. I don't know if you're ready for this, but I'm throwing in a bonus number 6 grassy weed and how to control it at the end of this video. Let me show it to you right now. And this is it. I wish I could find one that had a seed head. It may be a little bit too early, but you can see these bluish green leaves here, and this one's just got a very easy to identify once it puts up the seed head. But it's pretty easy to identify anyway, because it's got this really deep red looking center down here to the plant. And this is called annual foxtail, and of course it puts up a big seed head that has a fuzzy foxtail looking seed head there that makes it super easy to identify. Now there's a lot of products that can get you somewhat control on these grassy weeds like Tribute Total, but for me the annual foxtail is one that I like to use Celsius and Certainty mixed together. That combination seems to get outstanding results. Now Celsius by itself, maybe it would do pretty good as well, but that combination is very good on grassy weeds. Even on Dallas grass will get you some results. But mixing those together seems to knock out the annual foxtail. Now there's another one called knot root foxtail we have in our area. You can suppress it with Celsius, but it is a difficult weed to control, much more difficult to control than the annual foxtail. And I guess you guessed by the name, annual foxtail, your pre-emergent, hopefully well-timed, may stop a lot of that annual foxtail, but sometimes you still get a breakthrough. All right, I had to come out by the road, big Dallas grass plant, and this isn't the greatest example, but there's a seed head from the Dallas grass. Actually, here's a better example. Looks like more what I was looking for here. I'm not 100% sure if this is an annual foxtail. It looks similar to that. I feel like the annual foxtail is a little bit even fuzzier than this one. All right, we're almost done. What we're gonna do now is review the seed head with you to help you identify them. Hopefully you can go back and there's links in the description if you wanna check out some of these products. Also, don't forget, if you wanna get a weed control and fertilization like me and need a mentor, go to the first link in the description, book that 15-minute call. Let's see if it's a fit for you. All right, quick review here on the seed heads. What do we got here? This is the Dallas grass. What about this one? Bahia grass, crab grass, goose grass, and carpet grass. Not to be seen is the annual foxtail. Thanks for watching. Leave me a comment, question, and we'll see you guys in the next video.